welcome to another installment of the Fragments of Silicon reviews. A whopper 4 reviews this week. The first of which is a game called You Must Build a Boat. That is its actual title.
Like, must I really?
Within the context of the game, yes. Although, building a boat seems to be incidental to, the gameplay. Like, it's more, even though, like building a boat is just something that happens as you acquire crew members.
Yep.
So it would be like if Mario was called You Must Touch the Flagpole?
Something along those lines. But it's, there's no actual concern about building the boat. Like, you don't unlock, you do unlock a few parts, but they're you don't spend money on that. You don't worry about the kind of anchor you get, and so on and so forth. Sometimes a boat part is an objective in the dungeon that's somewhere. Like, I'm honestly not sure where these dungeons are. Like, but that matters less than what you're doing here. And what you're doing is, honestly, it's the same thing as you were doing in 10 million or 100 million. If you recall,
big number game.
Yeah. Well, it's a few months ago we reviewed a game called 100 million, or it's like 10 million, whatever the amount of numberage is. We reviewed it, and this is basically the same game. Not 100%, but 95% or something like that.
Something like that.
I mean, as far as mechanics go, yeah, pretty much the same. It's the same tile-based match 3 puzzle mechanics that are attached to Slider. Hell, it's reusing some of the same assets, like the shield tiles, the sword tiles, the staff tiles. Those are all from the previous game. What changed is the resource tiles, instead of being like stone and wood, they're now mind and muscle. It's still functionally the same thing in terms of what they unlock. Maybe a little different in the way this game does that unlocking, but that's neither here nor there. I'm like, I'd say the biggest change is to spells and items. Now, first of all, there are 2 types of items now. There are vendor trash items, items you purely pick up to sell at a void orb vendor. I'm like, and the second, they are the spells. Gone are the extremely useful keys. You no longer get insta unlock keys anymore. You still do get food, but the main event here are the spells, where fireball, freeze, and shock, and I'm trying to remember. The full shield, it's it basically takes you up to how many shield parts you can hold at any one time. It's reasonably usable stuff, but I would say that items are in general less useful than in the other game, and that's actually what makes the difference here. Because I put about 7-8 hours in the first game. This one I put in about 10, because this is all. Yeah, and for the record, it is 10 million. The first game. Anyway, it's still it takes a bit longer to unlock things, although the tedium's about the same. Especially at the end game there. Oof. But I'd say the biggest and starkest change is the external portions of the game. It's like instead of being trapped in a fortress castle type thing and acquiring a huge amount of points in order to escape, you are traveling down a river, tasked to build a boat for reasons unknown. Admittedly, I did not finish the game. I got close, but those this happened to me with the first game too. Like the last couple of objectives were just too tedious for me to continue on. When quite frankly, I'd seen everything this game had to offer in terms of content, and I didn't really feel the need to get the ending because once again, there's no context given for this game. I'm not exactly sure who this person is. Like, there's less context here than there was in 10 million. At least, there was the vaguest semblance of plot. There's not even that here. It's just, you're on a river, you're building a boat, kind of incidentally. It's not even necessarily good or bad. It's just what it is. Like, anyway, in terms of the external progression, because your boat is pretty tiny when it starts out, as you'd expect, and the first game had various upgrade areas, let's call them. It's like which they got all unlocked one at a time, or I think it was like the initial 4, and then a few more came along, something along that. What's changed here is I'd say that the progression here is much longer and much more involved. Like there's much more to unlock in terms of crew members who can do things, and there are new crew members as well. Like you do get stuff that was in the first game. Upgrade your weapons, upgrade your spells, upgrade your defense, that sort of thing. And I mentioned there's now the junk vendor. There's also the return of the elixirs, which various trade-ins. You can get like X of one tile at the expense of another tile, or more gold at the expense of experience. Although I don't think that specific one's in this game. Anyway, you get the idea. Although the implementation here is a bit different because instead of equipping an elixir, you drink an elixir and it lasts for about 3 turns.
So a little bit more realistic.
Yeah, in the sense that you're actually drinking an elixir and not doing the Bioshock thing of equipping a tonic. Now, how would that work? Oh, right. I did forget. The biggest change to the puzzle mechanics is the introduction of this new summon horn. As you get hit, it will fill the meter until the point where it's full, and you're either out of hit points or the scrolling portion you get pushed off, and then it'll summon all the beasties that are on your boat. And this ties into another new feature. There's this strongman crew member that will allow you to recruit various monsters that you find in the dungeons, and it's like for the gameplay purposes that is to the more monsters you have, the stronger that attack is. And like when you get to later stages, it's just kind of ridiculous.
They also provide some bonuses as well to your character.
True. Yeah. And I'd say the other big change is now the dungeons carry various status effects. Like it could be dark, it could be misty. Monsters could hit more. You could get easy chests, that sort of thing. I don't remember that being in the first game, but it's been a while. Anyway, yeah. So I'd say the other new unlocks are the church, like which, if I'm remembering correctly, is that's where you get the elixirs. There's also a internal. There's a librarian who provides you with Wikipedia pages. I mean, legally distinct, but it's still Wikipedia. And the strangest, like the last significant addition, is this investment system that I quite honestly didn't figure out. It's like, you put in a certain amount of money and then you get a certain amount of benefit for a certain amount of meters. Now, interesting ideas seemed a bit too wonky for its own good. Yeah. Let's see. Now, as far as the graphics, once again, it's the exact same. It's the exact same style as their other games. Not just 10 million in this case, but we also covered Photograph not too long ago, which is a very, very different kind of game, but still retains this kind of art style. This kind of EGA-inspired 8-bit retro vibe that they're going for here. Now, and mentioned, once again, like there are assets that are being reused here, and the music, much like the graphics, it's appropriate. Bleep bloop chip tunes affair. Good stuff. Like the ship theme is still stuck in my head. Not terrible, but also not something that I'd plunk down for the OST for either. Let's see. Right, pricing. So the game does clock in at $4.99 regular price, which is the exact same price as their 10 million title. Is it worth it? Like on its own, yes. But here's the thing. You only need to buy one of these games. I'm like, the differences, while not infinitesimal, are still on the subtle range of you're still you're still buying the core experience whichever way you go. And really, I'd say listen to the details here to see which one you would want to go with. As far as buying both, sure. I mean, stacked together, that's still only $10, and maybe you play one down the line after you're done with this. But it's still like, my personal recommendation is, it's a fine game. It's just the same game that they offered up a while ago. And I can't ignore that. Now, interestingly enough, they don't have a bundle with You Must Build the Boat and 10 Million. They do have a bundle with the puzzle RPG matching bundle. Oh no, sorry, I was looking at the wrong bundle there. They do have they got two bundles: the puzzle RPG matching bundle, which is 10 million, and You Must Build a Boat. That's $6.68. And then you got the Magnificent Match 3 bundle, which is You Must Build a Boat, Sparkle 2, and Spooky Bonus, which is clocking in at $17.22. Can't really offer up an opinion on the Match 3 bundle because those two other games are two other games that we have not covered. So my knowledge of them is non-existent. Once again, as far as the puzzle RPG matching bundle, still a recommendation against, even though the price is only $6.68. I stand firm in that you only really need one of these. Any additional thoughts from you, Twilight?
Not really. Just pick whichever one that sounds most interesting to you.
All right then. So that'll about do it for You Must Build a Boat. Be sure to tune in after the break, as Petty Fan will be reviewing Grizzland for the PlayStation 4.